Joe Warmington, that is, who broke the story this afternoon. Joe, thanks so much for coming in. You've been speaking with Don all weekend. What's the last thing he said to you? I know you spoke to him today after this decision was made.
I think the last thing that he said to me was that as much as this hurts, it hurt more to get fired by the Boston Bruins. So he's got a sense of humor about it all. It's one of these things where he knows that he's been, and I agree with this. He's definitely been treated badly here. I mean, he didn't really do anything that warrants all of this, and the very fact that this is a very dark day for free speech in Canada, in my view, and I think that that's how he looks at it. I mean, we're talking about Remembrance Day, firing an icon who spends his whole life talking about the poppies, fired over the poppy. Every soldier that was killed in Afghanistan, he brought on Coach's Corner. He's been to Afghanistan. He's been to every cemetery around the world where our troops are buried, and he loses his job because he's trying to get people to wear poppies. And that's all this is. You can spin it any way you want about, he should have said it better. Of course he should have said it better. When does Don Cherry ever say it
You
clearly?
people, though, is that the right language?
He always says you people. You kids out there, and he says you people, and you people is fine. What does you people mean? It means nothing. He's talking about the people that weren't wearing the poppies.
Is that really what you think he meant?
I know that's what he meant because I did a column on this very subject with him the day before. And I talked to him for 20 minutes, and in 20 minutes, I'm on with you now. I'm nervous because all this, I'm not used to this. And even though Don is experienced, he gets pretty hyped up. He's 85 years old. He has 4 or 5 thoughts. They all don't come out. If you look at the clip, and I encourage the audience to look at the clip.
We've all seen it.
Yeah, look at it. He mentions Rose and Rose. He means Rose and Rose of Grave. He didn't finish it. Well, with me, he did finish it. And he said the smaller cities. He doesn't finish his thought. The smaller cities was, what his point was, is that you see lots of poppies in the smaller cities. And when he talks about people that are coming here, and then he says, or whatever, or something like that, along those lines, what he said to me was people come from war-torn countries, and the refugees, glad to have them here, but he'd like to see them wear poppies, and people that are born here that aren't doing it. So in a 20-minute conversation, he said all these things to me, and then when I was watching it on Coach's Corner, I saw him crunch it all and not get it out right. Now, you could say that that's racist. Well, if that's racist, and you lose your job for that, then there but the grace of God go you and me for one wrong tweet or one wrong comment. Everybody involved with Don Cherry knows that Don Cherry is not racist. And they know that he loves the troops and that he's just scolding people. Maybe he shouldn't have done it. Maybe it's none of his business whether people wear poppies or not, but he's entitled to his opinion. Now, they're entitled to fire him, but I think that this is bigger than I think they've opened up a can of worms. We'll see. Our newsroom has been flooded with people that are against this. Now, I know you mentioned the standards branch of the CRTC or whatever. They claim that, and it may be true, but there's a lot of people. I think there's more people that know that this is really unfair, and that's how I feel about it. And I don't really care if people want to call me racist for saying that. Bring a case. I mean, when do people get to go to trial and defend themselves being called racist all the time? When all he said was that people should be, in his view, they should wear a poppy. And, that's his point of view. What do you think?
Well, you've been talking to him all weekend. Did he at any point talk about considering an apology?
Well, you know what? I mean, that would have been one way to get out of this. That's not Don Cherry. I think if he had said a derogatory slur or a racial slur or something like that, he's getting punished like he has said that. And they are channeling what they wanted him to say. But
did he indicate that he may be issuing an apology?
No, he never did. He said that he said his piece and that's it. If he wanted to do a big mea culpa, he knows that they piled him. And Ron MacLean, of all people, Ron MacLean, that's the other thing that you asked what he said. He's really hurt by Ron MacLean. Ron MacLean was fired twice by Hockey Night in Canada, and both times Don stayed with them. And the second time when they hired very talented George Strombolopoulos, who used to be right in the studio, great friend of mine too. And we were not very fair to George because we love Ron. And we don't like change, a lot of people, hockey fans. And one of the problems that Strombo had was he didn't have Coach's Corner. He didn't have that anchor of Coach's Corner with Ron MacLean. And the reason he didn't is because Don Cherry said, no, I'm sticking with Ron. I'm going to do that with Ron. And that gave Ron a bridgehead and is still a footprint on Saturday nights. He was moved to Sunday nights. He may never got back, and that's because Don Cherry was loyal. What does Ron MacLean do? He doesn't say, look, I've known Don Cherry for 30 years, and, it's unfortunate how it came out, but he's not racist. He just cares and passionate about the troops. He didn't do that. And neither did Bert Yabsley, the president of Sportsnet. They just went right for the jugular as if that he was completely racist. And Don says that that's not what he meant. I know that's not what he meant because I talked to him the night before. So that's why I'm on here. I've been asked to come on here. I'm not on any kind of a campaign, although if anybody does want to get Don Cherry back on Coach's Corner, I'll help with that because I want to see him back on there. We got Ron back on, both times they fired him. The first time a little sooner than the second time. And I'd like to see Don Cherry back on there. He's an icon who has done way, way more good than one comment that, and what is it that offends people? Is it the you people or is it you come here? What does that mean? Should he have said, maybe he should have said...
Are you learning anything about whether or not there was a conversation between Sportsnet and Don Cherry about a possible apology and maybe refused to do that?
I'm surmised that, but I don't have that. You in your opening, you talked about how Don Cherry was fired because he criticized New Canadians. You should read that again. That's not what he said.
Bingo.
He didn't criticize New Canadians. That's something that you or your writers put into the thing, and that's what we have to be really careful of. What did he actually say? And then you have to
did he tell you that he didn't mean New Canadian
Absolutely.
immigrants? He said that to you.
Absolutely. What he meant was that people come to the country. He may have meant it,
but why not come out and say that?
Because he feels that, he feels that the poppy is what matters and that everybody should wear them. All people should wear them in Canada. That's his point of view. That's not racist. That's his point of view. Now, if you don't want to wear them, you have the freedom to not wear it. And if you want to oppose it, you do that too. And he understands that. What I'm upset about is the fact is that he doesn't get a chance. Don, why didn't you say it clear? They threatened him with firing him and they wanted him to do a full mea culpa, I guess. He hasn't said that, by the way. He says he was fired. And he hasn't said that he was given an opportunity to do an apology. What he did say, though, and you saw it in my story, which is on TorontoSun.com, I'm not just here promoting your show. Read my column in the Toronto Sun and my colleagues.
People will.
One of the things that he talked about was he said that he couldn't go on there and be a tamed robot. And I read from that there was some sort of an apology that he probably could have done, but he hasn't said that and he hasn't commented on that. And he's pretty busy today. I hope that people, remember Don Cherry for the good, and it's a lot of good. It's a lot more than Bert Yabsley's done for the country, I can tell you that.
And you also mentioned that you feel he's been stabbed in the back by his co-host, Ron MacLean.
Yes.
Why is that?
Well, it's obvious. It's on display for everybody to see. I mean, he's his partner, and for 30 years. These guys are basically roommates for 30 years. I mean, they're like thick and thin. They go on the road, and the one time you're in trouble, you're on the campus, and your partner turns around and says, yeah, I'm with them. And John Tory, the mayor of Toronto, too, that really hurt Don as well. His tweet was so low.
When he said he was off base with his comments.
Yeah, Don Cherry has supported Mayor Tory, and when he ran for premier before, he supported him politically. And, he's a fan of, and he likes John Tory, as we all do. John Tory was on this Rogers board. I don't know if it's related to this or not. He really, really went too far. And again, he never says anything about Drake. I mean, the thing about Drake, he gives him the key to the city, and we all love Drake. But come on, Ariella was murdered not too far from here. There's many other cases of Drake's friends, and he won't talk to the police. He doesn't lose his key to the city. Justin Trudeau, blackface, the prime minister. Again, you know what? That was a long time ago, but all kinds of people are okay with that. Groping incidents. You can't cut Don Cherry at 85.
Justin Trudeau has come out and apologized. We're going to have to leave it here.
Yeah. They're defending Justin Trudeau. My point is that everybody treated that with kid gloves. And I don't, I'm just making the point that the extreme, harshest realities for this icon, this national treasure who's done nothing but good for the country, because he's offended a few people in free speech. That's his act, And even here at Stephen Ledrew, when he was on, he got fired, and I defended him the same way. And that shouldn't have happened either. And I haven't been actually on this station since he was fired because I wrote all the stuff I did. I may not be back again. That's okay with me. I'm going to stick up for the little person. If it happens to you and you lose your job, call me and I'll stick up for you if you're being piled on and you don't deserve it, okay?
Okay, Joe,
and that's what happened here with Don Cherry.
Thanks so much for coming in. We certainly appreciate your perspective. I know you've been working hard on this story.
I got to go write my column now.
Oh my gosh, we'll let you go. Okay, thank you so much. I appreciate this. Also, make